place that has been properly noticed for a regular city council meeting at the city of Caldwell. This evening, we would like to welcome you, especially in the world that we're living now. Thank you for social distancing and spreading apart as we continue taking some of the chairs out of the room. Darren, it's nice to see you with your brother.
Thank you.
What's your mom?
Mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law. I just thought for just thought that was your mother for a second. I'm sorry. Anyway, welcome to all of you tonight. This is, again, the time and place has been properly noticed. We have with us this evening Pastor Don Brown of the Caldwell Friends Church, who will offer the invitation. And then once the invitation has been offered, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would rise for the invitation, and then also remain standing with the Pledge of Allegiance. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as we thought about our meeting tonight here at the City Council, we want to thank you for your many blessings to us. We thank you for where we live. We thank you for the safety we feel as we drive down our streets, as our children and our people walk around the sidewalks, Lord, for the safety we have. We would pray for those who are living in different areas, who are fear for their lives, their property. We thank you where we live here. Father, we're living in a very interesting and difficult times, a rapid growth, pandemic, but Lord, many things we want to realize that you're still one who's in control. So Father, we have met here tonight, the City Council and the Mayor, to discuss business items concerning our community. We thank you for them and for those who come to participate. Lord, help us always to realize that all that was so subject to your love, to your care, to your judgment, to your, so I pray you'll give wisdom to all the decisions that are made. May we treat each other with respect. May we be able to hear what people say. Father, may everything we do tonight be better for our community and for one another. Thank you, Father, for blessing with your presence. Now be with us, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so very much. Pastor, thank you so much for being here tonight and for your kind words. And we hope that His Spirit will help guide you tonight as you ask. Thank you. All right, the clerk call the roll, please.
McGee?
Here.
Allgood?
Here.
Wagner? Wagner?
Here.
Hopper?
Here.
Paulson?
Here. Thank you very much. We do have a quorum of council members to address the items of business before us tonight. Are there any items on the agenda that present a conflict of interest for any council members? Excuse me. All right. Let's see. I think we do have a couple of changes to the agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Carlson?
Yes, Mayor. And both in new business, item number 8, has a typing error, and it should read, consider bill number 38, ordinance 3295, to annex property at 3311 South 10th Avenue. And also, number 9, we would like to remove number 9, which is a consideration to participate in the government safety program. We will take that up after some more information.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda by Commissioner. Gee, Chris, this has been a long day. I can't blame it on being a Monday, can I? My council member, Carlson, to change the wording on item number 8 and then to remove item number 9 from the agenda. Is there a second? A second by Mr. McGee. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. The agenda has been amended, so we will proceed forward with the amended agenda. Special presentations this evening. We do have one, as you know. This is 2020. Oh boy, has it been 2020, right? This is one for the record books. But it's also very important here in as much as it is a census issue. And as you know, the census has a whole lot to do with everything from congressional seats to redistricting within state. That's also how states are allocated monies through the revenue sharing process. Also, federal monies are also allocated based upon population. So it's very important that we get those numbers right, but we also want to count everybody. We want to know who's in our community. So this is a human issue as well as a financial issue, and then certainly, could have, democratic democracy issues of how we move forward with, redistricting and congressional seats. So, that being said, our wonderful city clerk has taken on that responsibility for the city of Caldwell and worked with a whole passel of good people. Some of you are sitting in the room to make sure the census is done properly. And in honor of that, and in honor of the fact that this is a census year, we would like to read a joint proclamation from the cities of Caldwell, Nampa, Meridian, and Boise. Whereas the census is mandated by the United States Constitution every 10 years. And whereas the goal of the U.S. Census is to ensure a complete and accurate count of everyone living in the United States once, only once, and in the right place. And whereas more than $675 billion per year in federal funding is allocated to states and communities based on census data. And whereas an accurate count is vital to ensuring our state and cities receive annual funds to improve transportation, schools, hospitals, public works, and other vital programs. And whereas census data helps shape where to locate schools, offices, and stores. And whereas census data ensures fair congressional representation in the U.S. House of Representatives and in redistricting state legislators, county and city councils, and school and voting districts. And whereas we all benefit from a complete and accurate count and have a civic responsibility to take the 2020 census before it closes September 30th, 2020. We, the undersigned, do hereby encourage anyone who has not already taken the 2020 census to take 10 minutes to take the 2020 census on September 10th. In the cities of Caldwell, Nampa, Meridian, and Boise. So I just wanted to read that proclamation, enter it into the record. And again, we did not purposely not include Middleton. They just didn't respond. So, anyway, these are the cities that responded to the proclamation, and so this is a good thing. And again, we know, I mean, speaking of Middleton, look at the way Middleton's growing. Look at the way Caldwell's growing. CUNA is huge compared to what it used to be. Eagle, obviously Meridian and Nampa. So, it's all about how this comes together in the valley and could create, we believe, another congressional district if the numbers come in as we think they could be. That's an important thing. So, anyway, I'd like to encourage you all, if you haven't taken the census, or to encourage those with family members, friends, neighborhoods, church members, whomever you may come in contact, well, whoever you come socially distanced within 6 feet of, to encourage them to take the census. Thank you. Thank you. And again, I want to publicly thank Debbie for the work that she does. You know, it was one of those things that I came to her and I said, Debbie, this is the census year, and I'm assuming that got all this taken care of, got this done, this done. I mean, she was so far ahead of me before I even had asked her to be involved, and that's the kind of wonderful city clerk that we have. She fits in with all the other wonderful employees we have here in the city. So thank you. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council about an item that is not on the agenda? All right. Then you have the consent calendar before you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Carlson.
I would like to approve the consent calendar as written.
Thank you. Is there a second? A motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee, to approve the consent calendar as written. Any further discussion? Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Paulson.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Allgood.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Parker.
All right. The motion is carried unanimously. And again, for those in the audience that may not know, the consent calendar consists of items that are considered routine in nature or are the completion of previous actions taken by this council. Okay, thank you. Anyway, where was it? Oh, that these are items that are considered routine in nature, purchases that have been authorized under budget approval, et cetera. So that's what's considered on the consent calendar. We take those items all with one motion. All right, that moves us then to old business. First item under old business is an action item, which is a public hearing pursuant to Idaho Code 21002 to consider acceptance of the budget amendment for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020. I will ask Mrs. Mitchell to come forward, but while she's coming up, again, as you know, we just adopted the budget for next year. That action was just taken a couple weeks ago. And the way a budget is put together is based a lot on absolute knowledge, but some assumption, right? We assume that people will pay their property taxes. We assume that there won't be a pandemic and we'll have a lot of overtime. When we put this budget together a year ago, we assume that fuel is X per dollar per gallon, right? We assume that but we don't have facts on some of those things. We're pretty accurate in putting it together, but sometimes we get pleasant surprises, like through the year, like we may get a grant that we didn't really know if we were going to get or not when we put the budget together, so we have to account for that revenue. Or we have a pandemic, and we have overtime and things that we didn't account for. We have to adjust for those. As an example, those are things that we may have to amend. So what the finance department is tasked with, and Cheryl Mitchell as the city finance director and treasurer, is tracking those things, accounting for them, and then at the end of the year, we bring it back into balance. And so what she is presenting tonight is balancing the budget based upon the amendments that we discovered throughout the year. I'll declare this public hearing open and ask for comments from Mrs. Mitchell.
Good evening, council. Mr. Orton passed out some handouts here for you. This is the detail of the budget amendment that is being presented to you tonight. The request is to increase your fiscal year 20 budget by $8,714,298 in expenditures. Revenues to assist in those expenditures amount to $8,253,472, with the request to use $460,826 for fund balance use. Behind the first two pages is the detail. As you can see, the increase is in the general fund at $3,808,000, airport fund at $2,390,000, and then in the park impact fees of $1.6 million. Those are the biggest increases in the funds. The rest of them are smaller numbers, but those are the big ones. Over on the next page after, page 3, gives you the detail of what those expenditures are. And I've outlined them by fund. So in the general fund, I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights expenses. Big one down towards the bottom is $2.3 million in urban renewal projects. And you can see there what those urban renewal projects are, they're listed there. You have the 500 lateral relocate, the ITD USIC overpass, rodeo restroom, and the Mead Road extension on North Ranch. And then we have the lighting at Timslop Stadium. In the airport, we had 2 land acquisitions this year. One land acquisition was for about $1.7 million, and it's in that those funds will come back to the airport fund, but not for another 4 years, Mr. Orton? Yeah, that's 4 years. This is part of the airport master planning, and it is all related to the grant that's going to come back to us. Also in the park impact fee fund, we had additional land acquisition, and that was the addition of some land that we received over by Brothers Park. 15 acres, Mayor, 14.7, I think, between the two. So we had an opportunity to acquire that land. So those were the biggest expenditures that is in this request. So with that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions from Mrs. Mitchell? Thank you. Sign-up sheet, I do not have anyone signed up to speak. However, this is legislative, not quasi-judicial, so if any of you wanted to speak or have a question after hearing Mrs. Mitchell's presentation, you're more than welcome to sign the sheet and speak now, or forever hold your peace. Okay, I'll take that as the explanation was good, all right? no further testimony. Council members, do you have any, final questions for Mrs. Mitchell? If not, is there a motion then to close this public hearing? We have a motion by Mr. McGee, second by Mr. Carlson, to close the public hearing regarding Idaho Code Section 21002, amending the fiscal year budget beginning October 1, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Rob and Jerem?
I said I thought.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, maybe it's in here. Thank you, okay. Just want to make sure we had enough to make sure the motion carries. All right, thank you, motion carries. Then that completes item number 1, and the public hearing regarding that amendment. Takes us to item 2, which is the companion document. This is known as ordinance number 37, bill number 37, ordinance number 3294, amending ordinance number 3228, bill 36, for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020. This is brought forward this evening with a request to waive the rules and pass it on the first reading by title only. I'll read this bill by its title and ask for council's consideration. This is bill number 37, ordinance number 3294, an ordinance of the city of Caldwell, Idaho, amending ordinance number 3228, bill 36, the appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020, appropriating additional monies that are to be received and or expended by the city of Caldwell, Idaho in the sum of $8,714,298, and providing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
I move that we waive the 3 reading rule and consider bill number 37, ordinance number 3294 on its first reading.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Allgood. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee to waive the 3 reading process to consider bill number 37, ordinance number 3294 on its first reading by title only. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yep.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. The rules have been suspended. Do you have the bill before you?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
I'll sponsor bill number 37, ordinance number 3294, and move for its passage.
Jerem, can we ask you to remember to mute between your votes, so that we can, because we're hearing background noise of some kind. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Allgood. Yeah, if you would mind repeating it, just make sure.
I'll sponsor bill number 37, ordinance number 3294, and move for its passage.
Thank you. Is there a second? A motion by Mr. Allgood, a second by Mr. Carlson, to sponsor bill number 37, ordinance number 3294, move for its passage on its first reading by title only. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yep.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. All right, that concludes item number 2, and bill number 37, ordinance number 3294 has been passed on its first reading by title only. The next item, item number 3, is to consider resolution number 23920, adopting a schedule of fiscal 2021 fees for services provided and regulatory charges as specified by the Caldwell City Code for the Caldwell Vet Center, Canyon Hill Cemetery, City Clerk Department, Caldwell Fire Department, Golf Department, Planning and Zoning Department, Caldwell Police Department, and the Parks and Recreation Department. The resolution for each of those. Okay, just that. Okay. All right. Mrs. Mitchell.
Mayor and council, you have before you tonight to approve all the fees, that will be effective for fiscal year 21, effective on October 1st. These are fees that we've discussed in our budget workshop, and these are for the departments that, the mayor just read in the resolution. Mr. Orton will be presenting or speaking to any fees that affect the public works department. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Sorry.
That's okay. I wait for questions.
Questions for Mrs. Mitchell? Again, these have all been, presented to you, previously, I think 2 weeks ago, right?
Only the
Well,
increase.
3 weeks ago, at the last meeting. So only the increases that were over 5%, but these are the fees for it. Is there any questions from council? And again, these were brought up and discussed during all the budget sessions, which are public workshops. You should be familiar with those, so, any questions at all? All right, I will read the resolution and ask for council's approval. This is Resolution 23920, a resolution of the City of Caldwell, Idaho, a municipal corporation of Idaho, adopting a schedule of fees for services provided and regulatory charges as specified by city code for Caldwell Event Center, Canyon Hill Cemetery, City Clerk, Caldwell Fire Department, Golf, Planning and Zoning, Caldwell Police Department, and Caldwell Parks and Recreation. Mr. Coulson.
I move to approve resolution 23920.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Coulson to approve the resolution as read. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Coulson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Wagner, Hopper.
I'll be yes.
Thank you very much. The motion passes unanimously. Resolution 23920 has been adopted by the City Council. Okay, the next item then is action item number 4, which is to consider resolutions 24020, 24120, 24220, 24320, 24420, 24520, and 24620, adopting the schedule of fees for services providing and regulatory charges as specified by the Caldwell City Code for the sewer system fees and policies, water system fees and policies, street lighting fees and policies, airport fees, engineering review and mapping fees, building permit fees, and sanitation solid waste fees and policies. Mr. Fortune, Mr. Public Works Director.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the assessment fee has been provided to the council previously in preparation for the public hearing that was held at the last meeting. But a quick summary is that there are no proposed increases to connection fees for sewer and water. There are proposed increases for user fees, meaning the amount of 4.9%. That's very important to keep up with the infrastructure costs, and hopefully we'll perform that. But we do not want to increase the connection fee as a way to continue to encourage and make possible growth and economic development. We will see those things that were subject to public hearing at the last meeting, a penalty for tampering fire hydrants. We had some problems with that, and so we enact a penalty in this resolution for that, as well as some fines and penalties associated with misuse of a trash compactor enclosure, which we have our first one in downtown, and really the folks in the downtown done really well with it, but they all desire to have everyone held accountable, and this is a mechanism through which we hope that we can accomplish that. But everyone's really working well. So, Mr. McDonald will speak to the engineering fees. Beyond that, I'll just give you a quick summary of, talked about sewer and water street lighting, a proposed increase of 3%, which is about, on average, to the average customer, it's about a 8-cent increase. Airport fees, this is based on the consumer price index, the Western region. And then, as you're aware, those in the past, based on our existing standard lease agreement, those actually only check in based on when the lease agreement says so. So we set these fees, and it's the lease agreement will show when it checks in with the council resolution. Building safety fees, no changes. Sanitation fees, besides the fines we talked about, there's also an increase in fees of 2.44%, and that is in harmony with our contract with Republic Services. And with that, I will stand for questions and give the floor to Mr. McDonald, who will speak to engineering.
Any questions for Mr. Horton? Thank you, sir. Mr. McDonald?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I do not have much to add, except that we have reviewed some of our engineering, plan review, plat review, and subdivision review fees. We've done extensive research within the department to determine how many hours are spent to do these reviews, and so we've adjusted those fees accordingly. And then the only other thing is really the right-of-way permit program that we put in place. where before we just had kind of a one-time fee for a right-of-way permit, it is now broken down into road classification and to the extent of which the road is closed or partially closed. And so we feel like that'll help us control a little better the roadway work that's going on in the city. That's it. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Questions from council? All right. Then we will, take these resolutions one at a time. First is resolution 24020, which is the sewer system fees and policies.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Carlson.
I would move that we accept the resolution 2420 with passage.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the resolution, move for its passage by Mr. Carlson. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
All right, 24020 has passed unanimously by the Call City Council. The next resolution, 24120, is for a resolution regarding street lighting fees and policies.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
I move that we accept, resolution 24120.
Do we have a motion? Again, I think we need to include it somewhere, approve the resolution, not just accept it, right? Okay, thank you. We need to approve resolution 2420 and move for its passage. Second was by Mr. McGee. All right, further discussion? So clerk, call the roll, please.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Resolution 24120 passes unanimously by Call City Council. The next item is the resolution number 24220 regarding water system fees and policies.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve resolution 24220.
Thank you. I have a motion. I have a motion by Mr. Carlson to approve resolution 24220 and move for its passage. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee. Any further discussion? So the clerk, call the roll, please.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper.
All right, 242 passes unanimously by Call City Council. The next resolution is 24320 regarding airport fees at the Call City Airport.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
I move that we approve resolution 24320 and move for its passage.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. A motion by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. Carlson to approve resolution 24320. Move for its passage. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Hopper.
Thank you. Resolution 24320 has passed unanimously by the Call City Council. The next one is 24420, which is the resolution regarding engineering review and mapping fees for the city of Collier.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve resolution number 24420, move for passage.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. A motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee to approve resolution 24420 with first passage. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Thank you. 24420 has been approved unanimously by the Collier City Council. That moves us then to the last, but, oh, we got two more, I'm sorry. 24520, I keep jumping on there. This is the City of Caldwell resolution regarding building permit fees on this 24520.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
I move that we approve resolution 24520 and move for its passage.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. Carlson to approve, resolution number 24520 with first passage. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 24520 has been passed by the Collier City Council. The next item is 24620, which is the resolution regarding sanitation, solid waste fees, and policies for the city of Caldwell.
Mr. Mayor, I would, move that we accept resolution 246, move for passage.
Thank you. A motion by Mr. Carlson to approve resolution 24620, move for its passage. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Allgood. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Paulson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That concludes item number 4. All the resolutions for fees and policies within the city have been adopted. Now we can move forward, Madam Money, after October 1st. All right. That takes us to the new business calendar then, which, first item of new business is a quasi judicial public hearing, known as case number ZON 2002. I will explain how that is to be held. If you have any questions, please ask. Again, this is a quasi judicial public hearing. There are sign-up sheets to my right. If you're going to speak at this one, you do have to sign up, and the clerk will swear you in here in just a moment. We will open the public hearing, ask for the staff to make the presentation regarding the request. Once the presentation from staff is done, then we ask the applicant or their representative to give testimony. When they are done, then all those who have signed up in favor will be called in the order in which they have signed up. Then we would take testimony from those who have signed up, if any that are neutral or just have questions, and then those who have signed up in opposition of the proposal. At the end of that testimony, there will be an opportunity for the applicant or their representative to give rebuttal testimony based upon the evidence and testimony given during the public testimony portion of the hearing. Once that is all done, then we begin the decision-making process. Council, if they feel like they have enough information, will first close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Then they will approve an evidence list that myself and the attorney keep track of during the hearing. Then we ask them to make a comprehensive plan analysis, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and then render an order of decision based upon the facts and evidence given during the, again, public testimony portion of the hearing. Any questions on that? I know, Darren, you've done this probably several thousand times. I don't know if anybody else has signed up, but any questions, Darren, on how we do it here? No, thank you. Okay. All right, all those who have signed up to speak at this public hearing, if you would please rise, raise your right hand, including staff. The clerk will swear you in.
Do you swear affirm that the testimony you provide tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
You've all been sworn in, so, if you come forward, please give us your name and address for the record, and then acknowledge that you have been sworn in. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Deb Root, Senior Planner for Caldwell Planning and Zoning, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been informed.
Welcome.
We are here tonight to discuss a land use application for approximately 1.77 acres, requesting a rezone from C4 Highway Commercial to M1 Light Industrial. The applicant, Darren Taylor, on behalf of his parents, Reed and Jackie Taylor, has requested to rezone this property to M1 for the purpose of expanding the purpose and uses of the property for marketability. The property has is adjacent to M1 properties and C4 properties. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan for the area around this and the industrial park and business activities that are here. Staff is recommending approval of the rezone, and I'll answer questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Root? Thank you. Darren Taylor.
Mayor, Council, it's a pleasure to be before you tonight. Pleasure to see you again. Thank you. The property was purchased by Reed and Jackie Taylor, put into a trust in the year 2000, subsequently entered into a 20-year lease with a portion of the property, which, as you see on the screen,
You need a pointer.
yeah, I think I'm good. The subject property has got the blue circle around it, blue highlight. And the property to the southeast of it, with the big, long, white roof, that's actually a truck wash. that truck wash portion of the property is a separate lot in a subdivision that was, along with the red dot on it. That property was leased on a 20-year lease, which expired, of course, in 2020, in May. And the tenant had an exclusive opportunity to renew the lease for a life period under similar terms. So that property, the truck wash property, was just renewed under a 20-year lease until 2040. So the subject property is behind it to the west, but also uses the same approaches on the, I was going to say, north and south. This southern portion actually was purchased by High Country Plastics, which is to the south. So for the subject property, the sole access is to the north of the truck wash. In 2000, when the subdivision was subdivided and the property was first zoned, C4, it was a little unsure how this area, the Sky Ranch area and the Flying J property was all going to be developed over the years and developed more industrial in nature. My parents, an opportunity to be able to maximize the available uses and therefore potential interest of parties in leasing or purchasing the blue area subject property, wanted to rezone to M1, hence we're here before you tonight. I think the only question I had was regarding the request to dedicate 35 feet along the entire aviation works property. As I look at the recorded record of survey from 2012, it looks like 13 feet was contemplated. My question is, was that never conveyed to the city? And are we talking about a conveyance here rather than a dedication? Question one, 35 feet instead of 30, fine. You'll notice two landscape common lots, one there and one there. Those are 20-foot wide, so we'll just convey 5 feet into each of those common landscape areas. If I'm correct in thinking that this 30 feet was not conveyed, if it was, and it's owned by the city, then the note in my file attached to the staff report that requests a 35-foot dedication along Aviation Way is unclear to me unless you folks say, not only do we want the 30, but we also want another 35, which conveys into the property that is subject to a long-term lease, and that might just take a little time to do. As with all good landlords and good tenants, there's a continual dispute going on between the landlord and tenant, and so we may need to wait until that next 20-year lease expires before we can convey the 35 feet additional. So if you could answer those questions for me, and if it is an additional conveyance, drafting, we'll draft that. Happy to do it, just need to know, and also a property description. If you folks already have one that we can use, great. If not, we'll come up with one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I cannot answer that question, Mr. Taylor, but I think that guy right there can. Mr. McDonald, would you take that question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This would be, because of the classification of Aviation Road, it would be a 35-foot dedication from center line. And so if something in the past has been dedicated at 30 feet, but then a new use or a rezone is happening on the lot, then an additional 5 feet would be required on the frontage of the parcel that's being rezoned. Mr. Mayor, Mr. McDonald, so is that what we're talking about, it's just an additional 5-foot conveyance? Correct. Okay, thank you. That's much more clear than that. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Taylor? All right.
Thank you.
Before you get too far, you're the only one that signed up, so do you want to rebut anything you just said?
No, other than it just took too long. Appreciate all you guys do. Understand the role you're in, and thank you for all you've done.
Thank you, Aaron. Yes, Mr. Carlson.
Question for Mr. McDonald. Mr. McDonald, the entryway there that we're talking about, 35 feet instead of 30 feet, is that already curved and gutters and everything?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Carlson, I believe it is. I can zoom in here a little bit and we can get a better look.
With that in mind, if it is, and I'm assuming it is too, because I've drove by there several times,
Yep.
why do we need an extra 5 feet? What is the purpose of that? We don't have it on either side.
That is a good question. The reason we require it is because it's part of our code and part of our policy for any new land use, rezoning or development that's going on. There's a lot of areas where we don't have the current right-of-way dedication, but if we never require it as development comes in, then we will never have it in the future. And so it's been our practice that anything new that happens, we pull it all up to the current standard, and that's why it's required.
So even if it is dedicated, we'll probably never do anything in that 5 feet. Because we can't on the other connecting spot.
Yeah, we won't be able to do anything currently, but in the future, if the other parcels develop, then they will have the same requirement, to dedicate that 5 feet. And the one thing I will point out is it does help once you get that extra 5 feet, even if the road's not widened, it gives you more space behind the sidewalk for utilities, so that we do not have utilities going in the road because they're trying to be in the right of way. And so it does open up a little more space for a corridor for utilities and so.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff or Mr. Taylor? All right, if there are no further questions, I would accept the motion to close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Thank you, motion by Mr. McGee, is there a second? Second by Mr. Allgood to close the public testimony portion of the hearing, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. I would present for your approval then the sign-up sheet, or the evidence list as follows, which is the sign-up sheet, staff report, and the aerial of ZON 2002.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve these evidence.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Carlson to approve the evidence list. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee. Further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. I would ask for council's comprehensive plan analysis.
Mr. Mayor.
Should be some change.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Carlson?
I move that we accept the comprehensive plan analysis under 135 in the staff report.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. A motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee to approve the comprehensive plan analysis as found in the staff report under Roman numeral 5. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. I would ask for council's findings of fact.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
call City Council to accept the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list, all adopt the city ordinances, standards, and codes we use in evaluating the application.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. McGee regarding findings of fact. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Sorry. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Conclusions of law? Mr. Allgood.
Call City Council has the authority to hear this case, in order that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements for met, the hearing was legally noticed and posted, and the hearing was held and conducted under the requirements of Idaho Code and city ordinances.
Thank you. Is there a second? A motion by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. Paulson regarding conclusions of law. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Order of decision.
Mayor,
Mr. Paulson.
based on the findings of fact, conclusion of law, call the city council order case number ZON 2002, request by Aaron Taylor and on behalf of Reed and Jackson Peters Living Trust to rezone parcel R 3530830 1.77 acres, C4 highway commercial, N1 light industrial zone, and call for the approval with conditions of staff report.
Thank you. A motion for approval by Mr. Paulson. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Allgood. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Paulson?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Allgood?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Hopper? Hopper?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Good luck, Darren. Thank you. You bet. Hope everything goes well with both the lease and the new property, the new project. All right, so that concludes, the motion to close the public hearing. Second. Motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee to close this public hearing. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. The next item then is action number 12, to consider bill number 12, ordinance number 3271. This is the companion document for the hearing that we just held regarding case number ZON 2002, the Taylor rezone. This is brought forward with a request to waive the rules, pass this on the first reading by title only, and to approve a summary for publication. This is known as bill number 12, ordinance number 3271. An ordinance that's determining that certain land lays within the city limits of the city of Caldwell, County of Canyon, state of Idaho, and that said land should be rezoned to the M1 Light Industrial Zone, determining that said change in zoning is in the best interest of the city of Caldwell, Canyon County, Idaho, directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to amend said property on the official maps of the city of Caldwell, Idaho, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith. Mr. Carlson.
I would move that we waive the three reading rule, consider bill number 12, ordinance 3271, on its first reading by title only.
Thank you. Is there a second? A motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee, to waive the three reading process, pass bill number 12, ordinance number 3271, on its first reading by title only. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Paulson?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Allgood?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. Mr. Carlson.
Mr. Mayor, I will sponsor bill number 12, ordinance 3271, move for its passage and approve the summary for publication.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee, to sponsor bill number 12, ordinance number 3271, move for its passage on its first reading by title only, and to approve the summary for publication. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Paulson?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Allgood?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Bill number 12, ordinance number 3271 has been approved on its first reading by title only, and the summary approved for publication. Thank you. That takes us then to action item number 3. This is a legislative public hearing regarding case number 08-2001. This is a request by the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Department to amend the current Caldwell zoning map and the official comprehensive plan map. This is Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Tonight I'm here with Debbie Root, Senior Planner for Caldwell Planning and Zoning, 21 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn and as indicated, we are here to consider an application to update and amend the official zoning map, and also to adopt and amend the comprehensive plan map that supersedes and replaces the map for cases that were heard and approved by the City Council in accordance with the requirements of Land Use Planning Act through January 1st, 2019 and December 31st, 2019.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Ruth? Again, this is pretty much housekeeping. These are things we have to do to keep those documents updated and keep them current. Any questions for Mrs. Ruth? Okay, in as much as no one has signed up for this public hearing to speak, is there anyone who wants to speak that didn't have the opportunity to do so? This is legislative. Okay, if not, is there a motion to close the public hearing? So, a motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. Allgood. To close this public hearing, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That completes the legislative public hearing regarding the map and the zoning map and the comprehensive plan map. We'll take us then to item number 4, which is the ordinance, the companion document, that will do the update that was just approved, or was just mentioned during the public hearing. This has been brought forward this evening with a request to waive the rules and pass it on its first reading by title only. There is no summary for publication. I will read this bill by its title only and ask for council's consideration. Bill number 35, ordinance number 3292. An ordinance adopting an amended zoning map that supersedes and replaces the official zoning map as adopted by the city of Caldwell on September 8th, 2020.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Alden.
I move that we waive the 3 reading rule and consider, bill number 35, ordinance number 3292 on its first reading.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Alden. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee to waive the 3 reading rules and consider this document on its first reading by title only. Would the clerk call roll, please?
Alden,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper. Hopper,
Up again.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. You have the bill before you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Alden.
I'll sponsor bill number 35, ordinance number 3292, case number 08-2001, zoning map update, and move for its passage.
Thank you. Is there a second? I have a motion by Mr. Alden, second by Mr. McGee to sponsor bill number 35, ordinance number 3292, and to pass it on its first reading by title only. Would the clerk call roll, please?
Alden,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee.
Thank you very much. Bill number 35, ordinance number 3292 has been passed unanimously by the Caldwell City Council. That takes us then to item number 5, action item, which is the resolution, number 23820 for case number 08-2001, which is the comprehensive plan land use map update. I will read this resolution by its title only. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Caldwell, Idaho, amending the City of Caldwell comprehensive plan map in its entirety. Is there a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Alden.
I move that we approve resolution number 23820, and
That's good enough.
good enough.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Alden to approve resolution number 23820. Is there a second? A second by Mr. McGee. Any further discussion? With the proposal, roll please.
Alden,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yep.
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee.
Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously, and resolution 23820 has been passed unanimously by the Caldwell City Council. That takes us then to item number 6, which is a public hearing, also legislative, known as case number 08-2003. This is a request by the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Department to amend the current Caldwell City Code, Chapter 10, Article 12, Section 101208, regarding staff level design review. I'll declare this public hearing open. Mr. Knapp?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Joel Knapp, Planning Director, City of Caldwell, 622. And I recognize I'm this morning.
Actually, that was for the last one. This one is just legislative, so you don't have to be sworn in.
Okay.
He needs to practice that, didn't he? Okay. You got it right. You got it right, Jerome.
Mr. Mayor and Council, in early June, council gave me authority to direct the plan director to hear all, to hear staff level design reviews based upon certain criteria. Basically, the criteria was, simple type of design review, that, the jurisdiction of the current ordinance, it, states the type of design reviews that require a hearing before the design review committee. Many of the small items like signs, storefronts, colors, required that, public hearing was held, from the time the application was made to the time it was finally approved, could be about 45 to 60 days. The design review process for staff level allows the director to review simple projects that have been identified in this, ordinance. Since you've probably heard or reviewed 4 signs and 3 actual applications for storefront changes. It saved a lot of time, and the public appreciated it. The process was that I was going to take this, as I've been with you earlier, I would take it through the plans of the commission and then review it, make recommendations to the city council, which they did. But more importantly, I took one extra step. I took it to the design review committee and asked them what did they think. And they unanimously voted, which they didn't have to. They chose to vote unanimously to approve this process. So that's my presentation to the council. I have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp, and I do know that, I've heard comments from some of those that have relied upon that quicker review process that has really helped. And obviously, we want to do everything we can to help our businesses, again, within the policies and ordinance of the city, but this makes it permanent. I'll get to that until you change the ordinance again, but for now, it makes it permanent rather than temporary under the emergency ordinance that had been passed through by city council. So, thank you very much for Jerome taking us through the process. Are there any questions from council regarding this?
And I do have a draft bill, for your commission.
Yes, Mr. Hopper?
Yeah, Mr. I agree, with the concept for the most part, and especially where field the standard elements and that are within a design standard for the downtown, and I think that's a big thing. I question on number C, the murals, and the only reason I do is that you're introducing a different kind of, it's not standard mural, if you will, right? And you're dealing with some art, and I'm just thinking that in that particular case, it seems like there maybe should be some kind of community input and approval of a mural design. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know if anybody else agrees or not.
One of the problems we have, Mr. Hopper, is that we don't have any standards. I've been working with Steve Jenkins from the Economic Development Commission, and we're working on some standards for murals. So at this point, the way I was looking at it was something very simple, not controversial, that staff would review it. But like all these issues that staff has, will authority to say, no, I think it needs to go in front of the commission. So I understand your concern. That's how we plan to handle it this time.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Hopper? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I guess as long as you don't put yourself in a position of saying no, and you can discuss go to a design review committee with it, I think it's probably okay. I just, part of me just thinks that you know, art to the eye of the beholder, and if there's only one beholder, it may not quite get it right.
Yeah, I would tell you this, if I have a tendency to say no, it'll go to the commission.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Matt? And then, of course, what you'll do is you'll get some design standards prepared, and you'll come back up with them, right?
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right, any further questions for Mr. Matt? All right, again, Mr. Matt is the only person who is, or should I say there's no one who is signed to speak other than staff. And so with that, I would ask for a motion to close this legislative public hearing. A motion by Mr. Gee, is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Allgood. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? carries unanimously. That then takes us to bill number 36, ordinance, so there's a change in that, what's the ordinance on this? What's the next one? Takes us to bill number 36, ordinance number 3293, request, let's see. I jumped. Oh, I didn't. This should be 3293, right? Okay. Yes, okay. Just want to make sure I hadn't skipped one. Just been cruising through these, you know. All right. So the next one then is to consider bill number 36, ordinance number 3293, request by the city clerk to amend the current Caldwell City Code, Chapter 6, Article 23, Section 062302, regarding the exclusion of certain events from qualifying for the special event permit annual pre-approval process, with the request to waive the rules and pass it on its first reading. So, Madam Dyer, want to tell us about this one? Or is this Mark, whichever you prefer?
Actually, that's it.
Okay.
Mayor and council, this one is just a simple amendment to an existing ordinance that we had dealing with special event permits. We have what we call a short form, and the short form was being used regularly, even with the Indian Creek, especially the plaza items there. But there needed to be clarification with that the short form cannot be used for large city events such as Winter Wonderland, Indian Creek Festival, those type of things. We want to make sure that that was in writing so that 20 years down the line, we realize that we could not use that for large events that would incorporate a lot of safety services and different departments. So basically, it's just a simple amendment to it that now that we've stated that for large events, city-sponsored large events, that we need to use the full form so that all departments are informed as to what the event would entail.
Thank you. Questions for Mrs. Geyer? Again, this is something that Debbie discovered as we were moving through that process and thought, we need to make sure that all departments are completely aware of events of large size, may close streets or bring several thousand people to downtown, obviously. So thank you for that, Mrs. Geyer, that's a big change. So again, this is brought forward this evening with a request to waive the rules and pass it on its first reading by title only. So I will read this bill, bill number 36, ordinance number 3293, an ordinance enacted by the Caldwell City Council amending Chapter 6, Article 23, Section 062302 of the Caldwell City Code, excluding certain events from qualifying for annual pre-approval, providing for an effective date, providing for severability, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and parts thereof in conflict herewith.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Carlson.
I would move to waive three reading rules, consider bill number 36, ordinance 3293 on its first reading by title only.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. I have a motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee, to waive the three reading rule and to consider bill number 36, ordinance number 3293 on its first reading by title only. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. You have the bill before you.
Mr. Mayor, I will sponsor bill number, 36, ordinance 3293, move for passage.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Carlson. Is there a second? Second. A motion by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. McGee, to sponsor bill number 36, ordinance number 3293, passed on its first reading by title only. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Carlson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper. Hopper.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. That moves us then to action item number 8, which is the one that was amended on the agenda. It's actually bill number 38, ordinance number 3295. This is a housekeeping document. This is an ordinance to annex a portion of property located at 3311 South 10th Avenue within the city limits of Caldwell into the Caldwell Municipal Irrigation District. This is housekeeping. It's brought forward by the property owner as a request, and we have typically done those just by simple motion, there's not really a presentation necessary. This is also brought forward this evening with a request to waive the rules and pass it on its first reading by title only. So I will read this bill by its title and ask for council's consideration. Bill number 38, ordinance number 3295. An ordinance of the city of Caldwell, Idaho, annexing a portion of property within the corporate city limits into the Caldwell Municipal Irrigation District of the city of Caldwell, Canyon County, Idaho, and changing the boundaries thereof, directing the city engineer to alter the boundary map accordingly, declaring the intent of the city to pool water rights and apply a uniform method of allocating assessments and charges, and providing an effective date. Mr. Allgood.
I move that we consider bill number 28, ordinance number 3295. Right, we start that over again. I move that we waive the three reading rule and consider bill number 28, ordinance number 3295 on first reading. Mayor, bill number 30.
I knew what he meant. It's listed on this.
I'm looking at the.
Anyway, so yes, we have a motion by Mr. Allgood to waive the three reading process, consider bill number 38, number ordinance number 3295, consider on its first reading by title only. Second by Mr. Carlson. Any further discussion? Well, we made a pass on that one, didn't we? All right, clerk call the roll, please.
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
McGee.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
I sponsor bill number 38, ordinance number 3295, and move for its passage.
Thank you. Is there a second? I have a motion by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. McGee, to sponsor bill number 38, ordinance number 3295, move for its approval on its first reading by title only. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Allgood,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
McGee.
Thank you very much. The motion is approved unanimously, and bill number 38, ordinance number 3295 has been passed. Item number 9 was removed from the council agenda, and so that moves us to the finance report.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Allgood.
the Finance Committee has reviewed current accounts payable in the amount of $4,293,470.19 for the period ending September 1st, 2020, and a net payroll of $384,626.94 for the pay period ending August 15th, 2020. I move that accounts payable in the amount of $4,293,470.19 represented by check numbers 147884 through 148375, and payroll in the amount of $384,626.94 represented by check numbers 34890 through 34930, and direct deposits be accepted, payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee. Regarding the financial report, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you very much. The financial report has been approved unanimously. City council reports, Mr. Carlson.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Mr. Hopper.
Nothing for me, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner.
Nothing, just appreciate you guys putting up with me from Zoom. I'm not used to the Tuesday nights and I help book myself, so I appreciate it. But that's it, nothing at all.
Thank you. That would be, Mr. Allgood.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. McGee. All righty, just real quickly then, I hope you all had a safe and wonderful Labor Day weekend. Hopefully, the numbers stay low after the weekend, for the coronavirus. I was looking at the report earlier from Southwest District Health, and things are trending in the right direction. So hopefully we can keep them trending that way. Obviously, the concern is school just started. We don't know how that's going to impact. And with Labor Day weekend, at least in Canyon County, a lot of the cases have been coming from backyard barbecues and family events, which those things happen, right? And so we just hope that, it still heads in the downward trend. As you know, the governor did not take us out of, stage 4. We're still in that stage, and so the numbers need to be better, around the state before we can move on. But that's the quick update there. Would like you to, know that the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council was underway. They had their first meeting. It was small in numbers. There was only about 12 or 13 kids, but that was to be expected. Schools were in session, hard to get the word out, hard to recruit new members with social distancing. We literally spread the chairs out in a big circle around the room, and I was really, really surprised at how, I mean, all the kids wore masks, everyone, we all did, because we were in that, format, and they came with masks on, and then they went outside and filmed a public service announcement. I don't know if you've seen it or not yet, encouraging people to help them get back into school by following CDC guidelines, washing hands, and wearing face masks, and social distancing. They talked about missing football and in-class instruction and their friends, and I thought it was pretty nice little, did you notice the really cute little gal at the very end? Can you believe that? That's my granddaughter, I can't believe she's 16. I've grounded her over and over and over again, I told her she couldn't grow up, and she hasn't listened. I just don't get it. Everything else she minds on, she's a little angel, she keeps growing up. So, anyway, I apologize, she'll kill me if she knows I mentioned the age. The urban renewal meeting is next Monday night. And then, of course, if any of you are interested, the next Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting is September 16th. Outside of that, I don't have anything unless you want to buy my wife a birthday present. Her birthday is September 25th, so. Are they? 5:30, yeah, 5:30 right here in this room for Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. All right, the next item on the agenda then is an executive session, so.
Mayor,
Yes,
I move that we go into executive session, pursuant to Idaho Code Section 74206, subsection C, for the purpose of discussing acquisition of or interest in real property not owned by a public agent.
thank you very much. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McGee, with the call roll, please.
Colson,
Yes.